We're once again having this conversation around negative gearing. Economists believe that things need to be done around negative gearing, but would it raise enough revenue if you limited the number of houses that you could negatively gear? This has been just around the political fringes for many, many years now. It was certainly a feature of the 2019 election campaign. Tanya Plibersek will remember that well. She is the Environment Minister and joins me once again. Negative gearing. Where is this government going to go with this? Should it be on the table? And would you need to seek a mandate to change anything?
Well, we're not planning to make any changes to negative gearing, but we do have a very comprehensive housing agenda because we know we need to build more houses in Australia. We're helping people afford their rent. We've seen the biggest increase in Commonwealth rent assistance in many generations. We're seeing more homes built specifically to rent. We've just announced the first 14,000 new homes in our Housing Australia Future Fund building program. We want to help people into home ownership. We've already got a program out there that means that people can get into a home with as little as 5% deposit. We want to do shared equity as well. Unbelievably, the Greens, the Liberals, the Nationals are teaming up to stop that. So we need to build more. We need to help people who are renting. We need to help people into home ownership. And the real key to this is housing stock. And that's where our focus is.
And negatively gearing, tinkering with that right now would just be too risky because the main game is building more homes. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, we're absolutely focused on increasing housing supply, and we've also, of course, reduced the number of people coming into Australia with our caps on student numbers to take a little bit of immediate pressure off the housing market as well. But, you know, Laura, we're not going to get on top of this unless we are building more homes. And for a decade under the Liberals and Nationals, we simply weren't keeping up with demand for housing. We need to change that. When it comes to changes to tax policy, we're not considering any of those changes at the moment. And, you know, it is really quite a distraction right now in the Senate that shared equity scheme that would help 40,000 Australians into a home of their own is being blocked by the Greens and the Liberals and the Nationals. So I understand that they want to talk about anything else, but there is help available for Australians right now that's being blocked by the Senate. Why don't we focus on that?
Yeah, when you say it's a distraction, is that as much a message to some on the Labor backbench who do want to see some changes to negative gearing eventually and can see the argument?
Well, we've already made enormous differences with things like our big boost to Commonwealth rent assistance, working with the states and territories to prevent no grounds evictions, a range of different things that we've already done. We've got more help available. It's being blocked by the Senate. I think it'd be really good if we focused on the thing that is on the table right now. It's incredible that the Greens are actually helping to block this because shared equity is part of their policy. They've suggested it in the past, and once again they're saying, oh, it's not exactly what we want. We hadn't designed it exactly. You know, they want all these other things added to it, including tax changes, and because we're not doing that, they're prepared to block the shared equity scheme that they would otherwise be supportive of. I think Australians are getting really tired of these kinds of blocking moves just because the Greens, the Nationals, the Liberals are teaming up together to prevent progress.
And build to rent, I mean, the Greens are concerned that developers would be involved in that. If there's not developers, who would they expect to build some of these homes, do you think?
I guess they're expecting the commune to build them. I don't know who they think will build for private sector you know, build to rent projects if it doesn't involve developers. I mean, look, this is the problem with the Greens' economic policy. I mean, it really is fantasy. They don't want developers involved in building large multi-unit dwellings. They're saying they want the government to start intervening in the Reserve Bank setting interest rates again. I don't understand where they're getting their economic advice, but you know, thank goodness we're not listening to them because some of these suggestions would be absolutely catastrophic.
Well, thank goodness. But also, you know, the Greens are on the far left flank of Labor. We're looking at the polls thinking, well, it could be a hung parliament. The Greens could win more seats at the next election. how would you? I mean, you've been in politics, in Parliament for a very long time. Not that I'm saying you're old, but you've seen some things. And
no, I was
working
just 12
with the
when
Greens,
I was elected. You're quite right, Laura.
Working with the Greens is, has always been, you've got to be part of the job. But given, what we've just discussed about their economic policy and some of the more, well, they're on the extremities now, how does Labor deal with the Greens going forward?
Well, we win a majority. We make sure that we work as hard as we can going into the next election so we don't have a hung parliament. And I would say this to progressive voters: if you actually want to see progress, vote for the Labor Party that can actually deliver it. I mean, all of these fantasy things that are distractions and delays that actually prevent progress. I think the climate wars are a really good example of this, right? The Greens teamed up with the Liberals and Nationals to prevent the carbon pollution reduction scheme. 80 million extra tonnes of carbon dioxide entered our atmosphere because of that. I would say if you really want to see progress, you have to vote for a majority Labor government so that we can make that change in a sensible way that doesn't smash the economy, that actually supports economic growth, but also delivers the sort of changes that we want to see. Greater investment in health and education, in aged care and early childhood education and care. Real change for the climate, real investment in changing our economy to accept more renewables into our energy market. These things can only really be delivered by a majority Labor government.